This week's episode of Premier Preps features premier performances on the softball field, key baseball series in the SFL and CVC, and a playoff berth at stake in boys volleyball. Plus, one of the top pitchers in the entire state, Nick Abraham of Franklin High, is a special guest right here on Premier Preps. Welcome to another episode of Premier Preps. I'm your host, Nick Pecoraro. Thank you, as always, for spending some time with us this week. We've got a great show for you this week with meaningful gamers and playoff races, plus a great interview with Franklin ace Nick Abraham on the way. But we're going to start this week's show on the softball field, where the Capital Christian Cougars look like a team to be reckoned with, especially coming off of a section and NorCal championship last year. But hot on their heels is a red-hot Christian Brothers team who had won 12 of its previous 13 games entering Tuesday's contest. And by the way, first place for the Capital Athletic League was up for grabs. Let's see how this one shook out. A red-hot Christian Brothers team coming for that number one spot in the Capital Athletic League. Capital Christian looking to stay unbeaten, and both teams came to play. First batter of the game, Ella Magda lines one to first baseman Ruby Warren, and Ruby with a gem of a play to start the game for the Falcons. But Capital Christian pitcher Ayla Tua brought her A game as well, striking out the side in the first, and folks, she was just getting warmed up. CB with some more D in the second, shortstop Hannah Tandy doing a bit of a pop-up dance, but she comes down with the ball for the out. Top three now, Ayla Tua at the plate, she can swing it too. She ropes it down the line for a two-out double, trying to get something going for the Cougars. A little cha-cha-cha, but Falcons pitcher Maya Filger gets the next batter to pop up and keep it scoreless after three. Now check out this play. Capital catcher Michaela Fulmer snares a foul tip for strike three with her bare hand. Take another look. Just an unbelievable catch by Fulmer, but the umpires, however, ruled that the ball was tipped off the ground. So the at-bat would go on for one more pitch, but that was okay with Ayla Tua because, as she says, the ball don't lie. Tua's first 12 outs came via the strikeout. Christian Brothers keeping the Cougs quiet offensively, though. Kerrigan Lynch guns down Haley Alkire on the steal attempt, and we're still scoreless through four. Top five now. Capital loads the bases with two outs, but Maya Filger was a soldier on Tuesday. One of her 6 punch-outs ends the Capital threat. Bottom five, Sadie Robinson breaks up a no-hitter with a leadoff single. The Falcons trying to get something going against Tua, but Ayla comes back with 2 more strikeouts. That was a familiar sight with Tua coming back to the dugout after a punch-out. But Capital needs to get going offensively. Runners on in the 6th, but Tua can't bear to watch. But she should turn around because Miani Marshall comes through. The freshman drives in Michaela Fulmer, and the Cougars lead 1-0. That was more than enough for Ayla Tua, who was having herself an Oprah game. You get a strikeout. You get a strikeout. You get a strikeout. 19 strikeouts in all for Ayla Tua, which matches her jersey number, a one-hitter, and more importantly, Capital Christian stays unbeaten in league play. Just an absolutely dominant performance from Ayla Tua. Folks, she's still just a sophomore, so get ready to see a lot more of those type of games from her over the next couple of years. Well, these two baseball teams are no strangers to big games playing in the Sierra Foothill League. Oak Ridge and Del Oro right in the middle of the pack of a brutal SFL schedule. The winner of this series looking to boost its playoff resume with one more week to go in the regular season, Game 2 of this series happening on Wednesday. Del Oro won Game 1 of this series. Oak Ridge looking to bounce back and keep its SFL title hopes alive. Trojan starter Andrew Del Pizzo getting some help from his first baseman Brock Fowler, robbing extra bases to end the first. But Del Oro starter Sam Coxon was looking strong early on as well. He ends the first with one of his 3 punch-outs on Wednesday. We go to the bottom of the third, a runner on second for Dylan Westbrook, looking quite dapper with a gapper. That'll score Del Pizzo and give the Trojans a 1-0 lead. The Golden Eagles with something cooking in the top of the fourth, but Del Pizzo works his magic and gets out of the inning unharmed. Del Pizzo working on a one-hitter through 4 innings. Bottom 4 now, Luke Haney leads off with a double that goes all the way to the wall in left center. And then 2 batters later, Landon Vetter goes back up the middle to bring Haney home, and Oak Ridge leads 2-0 after 4. Bottom 5 now, Oak Ridge still working the sticks. Runners on for Luke Haney, and Luke comes through with an RBI single, multiple hits in each of the first 2 games this week for Haney. And just like in the 4th, Landon Vetter follows up with another run-scoring knock in the 5th. It's 5-0, and the Trojans are looking for more, but Caden Pinnock, yes, that Caden Pinnock, all-Metro football and basketball players showing off the leather in center field. There's nothing that this dude can't do. Now, these geese clearly don't care that there's a ball game going on, and Del Oro clearly doesn't care that they're down 5 in the 6th inning because Mason Belding blasted out to deep right, and he's just inches away from a grand slam off the tippy top of the fence. That scores 2 runs, and Dio is on the board. 2 batters later, Shane Maloney cuts into the lead even more with a 2-run single, and it's 5-4. Oak Ridge reliever Ethan Lamb gets what looks like an inning-ending strikeout, but the dropped 3rd strike leads to a wild throw to first. Everybody's safe. Maloney scores, and Del Oro ties the game with a 5 spot in the 6th. But in the bottom half, a runner on for Andrew Del Pizzo. He hits it out toward the geese in center. Jason Alexander hustles home from second, and Oak Ridge holds on for a critical SFL win.
Yeah, just believe in ourselves, believe in our talents. We know what we can do, and we've came back before in many games this year, and we just got to stay level-headed throughout the whole game and believe in ourselves.
Well, this next guest is one of the friendliest and most charming guys in the area, but when he steps foot on the mound, he becomes a completely different animal, and that is what's made him one of the top recruits in all the section. Franklin High School ace Nick Abraham stopped by last week to chop it up before his team defends its Sac Joaquin section championship. Tennessee commit Nick Abraham on the bump for the Wildcats, and boy was he looking good early on. Here's one of his 11 punch-outs on Monday. Have a day, Nick Abraham. All right, well, I am excited for this next guest. He is one of the top pitchers in the state of California. He helped Franklin High School win its first ever Sac Joaquin section championship last year. He's 6-0 so far this year, 22-1 overall for his 3-year varsity career, a 1.04 ERA. He hasn't lost a game since he was a sophomore. I am pleased and excited to be joined by Nick Abraham. Nick, thanks for joining us here on Premier Preps this week.
Thank you, Nick. Excited for it.
Of course. Well, has your senior year been everything that you thought it would be so far?
Everything and more. Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, it's gone by a lot faster than any other years, and that's kind of what I expected. It's what I heard from people, but no, it's been great.
What got you into the game of baseball?
From a young age, it was always in my face. My brother played, my dad was into it, my mom was into it. It's always been around my family. And it's always grown up watching it. My mom got me into Derek Jeter when I was young. And ever since then, I've been a big Yankee fan. And so, I've been playing it for a while, and I love the game.
So without giving away too much of your secrets and going into your routine, what pitches do you throw? What type of velo are you hitting? What's your out pitch? What's in your bag right now?
Yeah, so I go four seam, two seam, changeup, slider, curveball. This year I've bit the bullet a little bit with the fastball. I can throw my four seam harder, but my two seam has more action and it gets swing and misses. It gets very weak contact. So I've been prioritizing throwing two seams. My changeup is what some would say is my best pitch, righties or lefties. Just one of the pitches that I've developed over the years, and it's been really good. Slider, I can throw it for a strike, throw it on two strikes, throw it wherever I want it, whenever I want it. The curveball is a pitch that I kind of developed this year. I had never really thrown it before this year, and it was always just kind of loopy, and it would get hit a little bit. But I mean, I've been throwing it all year long, and it's made a lot of people look stupid, and it's been a fourth pitch that can keep hitters off balance.
You're not like the typical power pitcher that we're accustomed to seeing these days. You don't have any type of violence to your windup. You have a very smooth delivery in your mechanics. What would you say has been the biggest factor in developing your pitch arsenal?
From a young age, I never had overpowering stuff. Usually at a young age, kids get out overpowering, a fastball, and that's all they throw. And they get used to blowing fastballs by guys. And then high school, it catches up to them because no one's going to throw 115. At some point, you're going to level up with everyone else. So over the years, I had to learn how to pitch, and being able to learn how to pitch before getting all these different tools was such a huge thing for me. And since I was able to know how to pitch, now that I've gotten bigger and stronger and understood the game more and more, it's changed everything.
Speaking of pitching, what is Nick Abraham like on bump days versus Nick Abraham on non-bump days?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you've seen it a little bit. Bump days, I'm locked in, I'm ready to go. I'm focused on the game. How can I approach different hitters? Coaches and I go over scouting reports, go over different things. On non-bump days, I do my same kind of thing, getting ready for the game. But then once it's game time, it's time to just be a cheerleader. It's time to cheer our guys on. It's good. Got to keep the energy in the dugout, got to get guys going, guys excited to be there. There's 9 guys on the field, and there's however many guys in the dugout. And if everyone is doing their job, then it makes baseball a hell of a lot more fun than when you're just focusing on those guys.
Well, whether you're a cheerleader on your off days or a competitor on your game days, we also found out recently that you're a bit of a romantic with your recent promposal after a game. Can you tell us more about that? Who's the lucky lady, and how much of that was weighing on your mind when you were pitching that day?
Yeah, no. So I had the promposal. It was kind of a thing in the works because I hadn't pitched at home yet, and so I knew that's what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to get my whole team involved. I'd be lying if I told you it wasn't on my mind, but I knew that if we came out and played the way that we can play, that that 7th inning would come, we get that last out, and then I'd be able to do it. They gave us a run for our money. We came out on top, and then I got to do it, and it ended up working out just fine.
Yeah, plus it wouldn't have been nearly as cool if you hadn't gotten the complete game, right?
Oh yeah, if I would have came out right there, yeah, it was, yeah, completing that game, that was a big deal. That was a big help.
Well, you guys had a lot of big expectations coming into this year, coming off of a section championship, but now you guys have kind of a target on your backs, right? Like, does that change the way that you approach the game at all, knowing that everybody's coming and gunning for you this year?
It may change things, but by no means should we change what we do. I think that's the biggest thing to take away is that, yeah, of course, guys are going to, preseason games, everybody is going to throw their number one. Everyone wants to beat us. If they beat us, it's their World Series. We've played against opponents that we've swept with ease in recent years, and they've came out and they've played hard against us because of course they do. Of course they want to. It's, the game means something. So I think for all of us, it was just about taking every game very serious and being very prepared for every single game.
And then obviously after high school, you're headed out to play at Tennessee. And that wasn't your first commitment, obviously, but maybe you can talk a little bit about what that process was like and how you ended up landing on Tennessee.
Yeah, no, for sure. Kind of a long process, honestly. I started getting recruited in 8th grade. So, from a young age, it's tough. And the new rule is that that schools can't talk to you until your junior year, which I think I think it's a great rule. I think that, as an 8th grader, your goal is to play at the college level, and there's a school telling you that you can come play for them, and they're going to pay for your school, of course you're going to say yes. You're an eighth grader. Like it's like going to Disneyland, you know. But so for me, I made the decision to go to Oregon, to commit to Oregon my freshman year. It was kind of a stress-made decision. A bunch of different schools reaching out, one you to commit, one you to come check out their school. You know, as time went on, I think I kind of understood that wasn't the place for me and that I wanted to go somewhere different. So junior year, I decommitted, had a really good season and really good summer. That kind of led me to, you know, some different schools. Texas, TCU, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State. You can't go wrong in any of those schools. But for me, Tennessee was the best fit. They've since 2020 had the best record in college baseball. They've had the most guys drafted. They've had the most pitchers drafted, which is huge for me. For me, it was about finding a place that I can go develop and finding a place that I can, you know, be happy at. And I thought there was no better option than Tennessee.
Well, I've heard a few local coaches talking about how you are a legitimate MLB prospect. When you hear that type of praise, like what type of things go through your head and how does that make you feel?
I mean, it's when you're little, that's your dream. And to think that, you know, I'm in the talks and then the question of that becoming a reality is, I mean, it's surreal, really. I mean, it's one of the coolest things ever. You know, if you look at the beginning of my year, I kind of struggled at first. I had to have been 20 pro scouts in my first start. For me, it was just about, you know what, now I've seen it. Now I know what I need to do. Now it's time for me to say, okay, I've seen that. Now I'm going to move on and I'm going to do what I do. And because that's why they're watching me. At the end of the day, they're there to watch me to do what I do. And I think ever since I've changed that mindset a little bit, I've pitched light years better.
Well, is there anything else that you want to talk about that maybe I'm not covering yet? What else do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, we can always talk about that, how Franklin's going to get redemption in the NorCal playoffs this year. Last year we had some amazing leaders, some amazing players on the team. And we came up short against De La Salle in the NorCal semifinals. And that's something that every single returner, every single person that was at Franklin wants redemption. Every single person wants it so bad. And that's what we're all fighting for. We're going to go one game at a time, but trust me, we're going to get there and we're going to get redemption. And that's something that every single one of us thinks about almost daily.
Well, you heard it here first on Premier Preps. Nick Abraham calling the shots for Franklin baseball. They're going to defend their section crown in a couple of weeks here and come after that NorCal crown, just as Nick said right now. Folks,
Yep.
If you have a chance to check out a Franklin High baseball game, I highly recommend it. Do so early in the week so you can check out Nick pitch. That's usually when he goes, so he can get his team off to a hot start in that week. So, Nick, thank you so much for joining us here on Premier Preps. You are obviously welcome back anytime, man.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it.
Always a great time catching up with Nick Abraham. Huge shout out to Nick for joining us on Premier Preps this week. If you'd like to follow Nick on social media, here's where to do so. It certainly will be worth following what he does in his baseball career over the next few years. Well, how about some more baseball? We had another tight first place battle entering this week in the Capital Valley Conference. Bella Vista and Wood Creek throwing down this week. The Broncos had already matched their win totals from the previous 2 seasons, while Wood Creek was certainly looking like the team to beat. Some Friday afternoon baseball in the CVC. Bella Vista can claim first place with a win, but a Wood Creek win coupled with a Roseville loss would give the Timberwolves the CVC outright. A lot at stake on Friday. Here we go. Bottom 1, Broncos strike first. 3 straight hits to open the game, including this RBI double from Drew Longacre. The strong raker drives in the first run of the game, 1-0 Broncos. But they weren't done in the first inning. A couple of productive outs, gets 2 more runs home. Cooper Thorne drives in a run with an RBI ground out. And the next batter, Zachary O'Neal, does the same, and in the blink of an eye, Bella Vista is up 3-0 to start the game. We go to the top of the third now. Wood Creek with a runner on for Connor Barth. The Mississippi State commit flies one out to the deepest part of the yard. Kalen Irvin with a great effort, but he can't come up with the catch. Dylan Green scores, and Wood Creek is on the board. Now, Timberwolves starter Mason Ferris is starting to settle in. After Bella Vista started the game with those 3 straight hits, Ferris retired the next 13 batters he faced, and he had some help from his defense. Center fielder Tyler Hennessy reminding everyone not to come into his airspace, and that opens up a door for Wood Creek to get back in this thing. Top 6, still 3-1 Broncos until Tyler Hennessy steps up. You just saw him make a great catch in center. Now he hits it out to his counterpart, but this one is going to drive in 2 runs. We got ourselves a tie ball game. The T-Wolves like to have a dunk contest every time they score. I'll give Aaron Palmer a solid 9.5 on the alley-oop windmill. But the Creek wasn't finished. Connor Barth back at it. He lifts a high fly ball to left. The wind was going crazy late in this game. Wood Creek takes a 5-3 lead. Dylan Green only gets an 8 on this dunk because we just saw that one from Aaron Palmer. Back to the game. Vanderbilt commit Austin Nye chops one through the 5-6 hole, and that'll bring home another run. Wood Creek goes for 7 runs in the 6th inning. And suddenly, the wind has started shifting in the Timberwolves' favor. Mason Ferris cruising now, going for the complete game. A gritty effort from Ferris. And with a Roseville loss to Inderkum, Wood Creek wins its 5th straight CVC title.
A lot of plays that we haven't made in the past with balls getting through the holes. We all were able to. We're able to. We were able to make those plays and play clean baseball today.
Well, this was the final week of the regular season in boys volleyball. The Sac Joaquin section playoffs begin this week and culminate with championship games on Saturday, May 11th. But you got to get into the playoffs first before we start talking about championship games. And one of the tightest races came from the Metro League, where 4 teams were crowded for only 3 available playoff spots, including these 2, Laguna Creek and Vanden, throwing down on Tuesday night. And spoiler alert, it was a 5-set banger. Let's check it out. Well, Monterey Trail has the Metro League wrapped up, but Laguna Creek and Vanden fighting for the league's final 2 playoff spots. We pick it up in the 2nd set. Vanden's already up 1-0, but Laguna Creek's trying to make a move as Ian Ayakareme says Ayakaramba with this hit. But the Vikings fire back as William Ianacho, looking like a macho man and a savage. And then on set point, look at the hustle from the Cardinals libero Justin Purba. An amazing save, but Vanden's Christian Ting puts away set point, and the Vikings are up 2-0. Set 3, some more great hustle from Laguna Creek. This time it's Justin Vuong keeping it alive. But once again, it's Ting putting it down for the Vikings, and they're starting to feel themselves up 2-0. But here's where the Cards make their move. A crafty little dump-off from LC setter Aiden Wong. Great court awareness, and this time Wong with the good feed, and Jake Shipley with the good deed. And Laguna Creek is on the board with a 25-19 win. Set 4, Shipley picking up right where he left off. But so is Vanden's Christian Ting, who goes ding-ding right here, ringing the bell off the LC back row. But Laguna Creek would take control of set 4. Shipley once again putting it away, and we're going 5. By the way, all these Cardinal players I've mentioned, all sophomores making big contributions, and here's another one. Gavin Hetrick, 2 big blocks in the same sequence. We're all knotted up at 7 in the 5th, but Vanden puts its foot on the gas. Andre Aguilera shoots one that tight ropes the sideline. 12 kills for Aguilera, and the Vikes have match point. Tavis Spencer had 39 assists, and this one to Aguilera finishes the job. Laguna Creek gives them a run for their money, but it's Vanden who clinches a playoff spot.
A lot of it was teamwork. A lot of it's done during practice. So we fought hard. We didn't stop. This Vanden team is not the Vanden team I played a long time ago. So we can always bring it back, and we'll make a run at playoffs. Vikings are winning. Let's go. Come on. Yeah!
Well, that's going to do it for episode 10 of Premier Preps. Thank you, as always, for joining us and following along and subscribing. You are helping me grow this show. I cannot thank you enough. Another big thank you goes out to Nick Abraham of Franklin High School for joining us as a special guest this week. Be sure to tune in next Sunday, where it's the final week of regular season baseball, some more playoff pushes in softball, and we got playoff volleyball on the menu as well. Until then, I'm Nick Pecoraro, and this is Premier Preps. Thanks for watching.